Salutations, one and all, and welcome to RWBY Recapped. Let's examine episode 9 of Volume 9. I will warn you that spoilers for the episode follow this point, so if you haven't seen the episode, you should do that first. So this episode opens up with a flashback of Summer reading the story of Alex to a young Yang and RWBY. I did find it kind of funny that Yang's face is clearly more childlike, obviously, but RWBY's face has far fewer changes. Summer describes that a door opened up in the tree and let Alex go back to Remnant. So that clarifies that it isn't teleportation or warping or anything like that. It would be nice if we could find out how she got here though. We're 9 episodes in out of 10, and we have nothing on that front. The circumstances of Team RWBY getting here were astronomical, so how did Alex and Lewis end up here? That matter alone causes some monumental issues and implications. But the flashback is short-lived, as we cut back to the others returning to the Paper Pleasers village. They're greeted by crystal beings in the same star shape as the Paper Pleasers, and the other members of Team RWBY say that they're back. No, they aren't. These things are new beings. The Paper Pleasers are gone forever. They didn't just get an upgrade. These things don't have their memories or their knowledge. They're still not sapient, so they don't have things like values and morals to retain, but nevertheless, these are not them. But their purpose is exactly the same: to shape this acre. Then what was the point of them ascending? Just to make it out of crystal instead of paper? Why didn't the tree just have you do this the first time? And what happens next? The tree's just going to rip you apart again and again once you've finished. But Jean claims, I was being selfish. Well, yes and no. Again, the creatures of this place don't function like we do. They're in a perpetual state of doing something and then flinging themselves into the garbage disposal once they've done it. They don't have our desires and needs. Your intentions were noble, but you can't save the denizens of this place from themselves. Weiss then claims that even the best huntsmen in history, they've all lost, trying to encourage everyone, saying that they've been too hard on themselves. Well, you're up against an immortal enemy with infinite minions. Stalemate is victory. This isn't a campaign mission, this is Firefight from ODST. You can't remove Salem and the Grimm, only keep them at bay. They then hug it out, but one itsy-bitsy but ever so crucial little tiny detail. What about RWBY? Your sister, your friend? Why are we caring about the Paper Pleasers after what just happened to RWBY? Now isn't the time for a heart-to-heart. You need to be trying to do something about her situation. But a flurry of leaves appears, and it would seem that the tree has warped them to itself. Well, that goes against what everyone else has had to do to reach the tree, so this is, as of now, a unique method of reaching the tree. Why this happens isn't confirmed. They soon discover wooden statues of those who are ascending, first seeing the herbalist before seeing RWBY. Yang tries to make a move to break open the wood, but she's stopped by the others. She asks, what if she isn't RWBY anymore when she comes back out? But Weiss and Blake say that they just need to accept that. Excuse me, what? That's the extent of how much you care about your friend? A friend, someone you're supposed to care about, wants to game over themselves, and you're fine with that? You don't want to help her? You're just okay with her ending up as a shell? A hollow abomination that's been ravaged by this nightmare land? Some friends you are. That's the extent of your devotion. Friends are supposed to be there for each other, to help one another through the bad times and celebrate the good ones. You win as a team, you lose as a team. You don't just leave them to do something drastic when they fall into a pit of despair. Just letting this happen isn't friendship, it's apathy. The herbalist breaks out of his statue and now has legs instead of a caterpillar body, and flies off, saying nothing to the group. The sunlight streaming through the treetop makes this seem like it's supposed to be uplifting, but in reality, it's disturbing. Weiss and Blake have just left RWBY to her fate. In metaphysical space, though, we see RWBY meet the smith again. I know that it's meant to be metaphorical, but you need more than a hammer and an anvil to forge something. Smithing isn't just smacking metal over and over again. The smith claims that the choice of who you become and where you end up is yours to make. True, but you also don't need to distort these beings to do that, at least not people from Remnant who are capable of doing that on their own. But the smith deduces that you don't know what you want, do you? So the smith is a mouthpiece for the tree, it would seem. And with every word she says, she seems more and more like a Sith Lord trying to convince someone to fall to the dark side. But we'll get to that in a bit. Also, no matter what you want to be or do, it will all be taken away if Salem wins. So no matter what, keeping her from getting the relics comes first, as you won't be able to do whatever it is you want to do if she wins. She's priority one, no exceptions. But the group hear a series of thuds and make their way towards them. It would seem as though a door has opened on the tree, and they deduce that this is their way back to Remnant. However, the cat Neo is attempting to get through, and the thuds are coming from the door rejecting it. But this begs the question of why the tree decided to allow the others to go home now. You could make the argument of Jean needing to understand how the paper pleasers work, but what about the others? Nothing has happened to them in the past little bit, so why now? It's always taken other beings on an individual basis, so why would it wait to take the others as a group? There was the whole Yang and Blake shipping stuff that happened, but that's small potatoes compared to a world-ending threat like Salem and the gods. Weiss hasn't had any such development. If it was about them deciding what they want, then why didn't it take Weiss after their session with the herbalist? Her declaration to her illusion was the last thing of note that she did in terms of the whole deciding what you want thing that the tree revolves around. The cat, however, reveals that it was Lewis that left through the door, and that Alex decided that she wanted to fix the wrongs that she did here. Why did Lewis leave her, though? The cat then implies that he killed Alex, but he perks up upon seeing Ruby's statue. He says that he can't use Neo to return to Remnant because she has no attachments left, and that there's nothing for her to return to. Ruby, though, wants to, as he puts it, wants to return to Remnant and play hero. He declares that he's going to cut her out and possess her, but the others bar his path. Well, at least you have a line somewhere. Still, you should be trying to do the same thing, minus the possession part, of course. You don't leave your friends stuck inside a tree. I wouldn't even leave my enemies in a tree. That's not something I'd wish on anyone. But Ruby is now following the smith, and they see lights floating past them. She asks what they are, and the smith tells her that they are the souls of those ascending. Ruby inquires if they get to choose what they become. Not really. No matter what this being tells you, if you lose all of your memories, characteristics, values, and so on, you're gone. You died. There is no more of you. Something else is in the world in your place. Just like the paper pleasers, if you follow this thing, you'll be gone forever too. The smith then responds with, "Such concern for souls you don't know. Or is it for yourself? Can't it be both, you disingenuous creature? Those two concerns don't have to be mutually exclusive." But Ruby says, "I wanted to be the hero. I just wanted to do the right thing. But every step of the way, it's like there is no right thing." Well, in response, I'd like to bring up what my boy Garrus says in Mass Effect 3. All the questions with 1,000,000 lives riding on the answer. The ruthless calculus of war. 10 billion people over here die so that 20 billion over there can live. That's what you're dealing with. You're not going to save everyone. You do the best with the cards you're dealt. With the situation you're in, and the information you have, you give it your best, come what may. Sometimes it's not about how hard you can hit, but about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. But the cat is able to fight all of the others at once by using Neo's new upgraded illusion powers, and has them distract the other three while he faces Jean. He tries to denounce Jean by saying that he was never a brave knight, but fighting against Cinder and Salem's forces instantly disproves that. As Jean is about to strike down the cat Neo in a hugely telegraphed attack, the cat shifts into an illusion of Penny. Now Jean, I know that you're still traumatized about what happened to her, but you know that this isn't her. What you should do is get angry at this thing for the nerve of pretending to be her and finish the job. Instead, Jean hesitates, and an illusion of Pyrrha slashes him across the back. Given that he has a backplate, this shouldn't do anything to him, and given that his reaction is subdued, I can't quite tell how much it did. Weiss tries to attack the cat, but it was an illusion as well, and her fireball hits Jean, sending him flying off the ledge and out of the episode. Whether this damage is fatal to him is unknown as of now, but the smith shows RWBY dozens of cases containing various objects, saying that she could have any of them and leave Ruby Rose behind. And thus the tree has shown its hand, or branch, I guess. Leaving who you are behind is death. This isn't taking up a role or title. This isn't putting a new coat of paint on a car. This is deleting all of what makes you who you are. Why the tree does this is unknown, but it's insidious. This thing wants to rip away your individuality and leave you as a husk. This is what I meant by saying that this smith sounds like a Sith Lord. But RWBY again sees the axe in one of the cases, and she can hear her mother's voice. But this is where the episode ends, however. If this was her mother's weapon, then why didn't she react when she saw it before? If it's not her mother's weapon, then why is she hearing her voice? So that's it. We have one episode left of this season, and whatever happens, happens. We still need to find out what happened to Jean, have RWBY pick herself up, and separate this cat's head from its body permanently. The smith did have a point though. How do you measure what's good enough? People often say that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but that doesn't stack up with what's happened. As I discussed with the previous episode, RWBY's overall done the best she could with the cards she was dealt. As I said, staying down just isn't something you can afford to do in your situation. If Salem wins, everything and everyone you care about is gone. It's cruel, but that's the reality of your circumstances. Any aspirations or desires you have come second to that, because they'll be taken from you otherwise. Them's the breaks. Was their plan foolproof? No, but it did get countless civilians away from certain death. Even if they had taken Cinder into account, they would have had to find her and then kill her before opening the gateways, and even if they could have killed her, they had little time to do so. I'm concerned about the lack of concern that Weiss and Blake have towards RWBY's situation. That level of apathy is something that is quite frankly alarming. If that's the full measure of how much you're invested in your friend's well-being, then that is truly disconcerting. But all of this would have been better if Ambrosius had just made tunnels instead of the completely exposed walkways. But these were just my observations. What were yours? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and feel free to leave a like if you're so inclined, and subscribe to see more. And may you all have a weapon in each hand.